In a quiet town on a seemingly ordinary night, the streets were illuminated by the city lights and the sound of traffic echoed in the distance. But little did anyone know that this night would be etched in their memories forever. The catalyst of this tragedy was a reckless, intoxicated woman named Laura, a 32-year-old struggling with personal demons. Ignoring all reason and the safety of her child, she takes her daughter Emily along to the gas station to get more alcohol. Laura and Emily had always shared a deep bond. Emily was a vibrant, curious little girl whose laughter could brighten even the darkest of days. But Laura's battle with addiction has taken its toll on their once joyful lives. On this particular night, Laura had reached a tipping point, and overwhelmed by her struggles, alcohol seemed like the only escape. Standing in front of the gas station, Emily, holding her hand tightly, contemplated her decision. In the depths of her heart, Laura knew this wasn't right and that her daughter's safety should come first. She wanted help, but she didn't know where to turn. The guilt weighed heavily on her, and yet the pull of addiction was strong. In her intoxicated haze, Laura decided to take the path of least resistance, convincing herself that she was still capable of crossing the street safely. She glanced at Emily, whose innocent eyes trustingly met hers, and together they stepped onto the road. Meanwhile, another driver, John, was headed back home from work. He was oblivious to what was going on, and for a moment it seemed like he was driving responsibly, but the reality was that he was incredibly drunk. But fate had something else in store for them, and the inevitable conclusion occurred with horrifying force. John's car struck Laura and Emily, shattering the peaceful night with a tremendous crash. The moment of impact felt like an eternity, as time seemed to slow to a standstill. As the first responders arrived at the scene, they were first met with heart-wrenching devastation. The sight of the lifeless child surrounded by EMS, fire, and police was very overwhelming. And despite their best efforts, they couldn't bring her back. Laura was alive but suffered severe injuries, and as she lay there, the realization of what she had done hit her like a tidal wave. The weight of her choices came crashing down upon her, and she cried out in anguish. This tragedy left a deep impact on everyone present that night. The loss of an innocent life, the heartbreak of a mother, is an experience that changes you forever. In the following days, the first responders struggled to cope with the trauma that they witnessed, and the images of the night haunted their dreams, and many sought counseling to process their emotions. As time passed, the pain of the tragedy lingered, but the memory of Emily lived in the hearts of those who knew her. Laura, burdened with guilt and grief, vowed to seek help and turn her life around. The accident spurred a renewed commitment among first responders to raise awareness about the dangers of drunk driving. They actively participated in community events, sharing their stories and advocating for safer roads. The tragic accident also affected the community at large. Friends, family, and even strangers mourned the loss of young Emily, coming together to support each other during the painful time. Driven by the memory of Emily's innocence and the hope of preventing similar tragedies, activists joined forces to demand stricter drunk driving laws and improved alcohol addiction support programs. In the midst of grief and anger, a profound lesson emerged. Some members of the community found it in their hearts to forgive Laura, understanding the depths of her struggles. They hoped that she could find redemption and use her experience to help others, and the healing process was slow and arduous, but the community's resilience prevailed. They worked together to turn their pain into positive action, honoring Emily's memory by striving for a safer and more compassionate world. For the first responders who witnessed the tragedy, the emotional toll was immeasurable. They grappled with feelings of helplessness, sorrow, and anger, but through support from colleagues and therapy, they found strength to continue their vital work. Laura's journey to recover was filled with ups and downs. With the support of rehabilitation programs and therapy, she confronted her addiction and learned healthier coping mechanisms, and her dedication to change inspired many. The memory of Emily remained alive in the hearts of all who knew her, and a memorial was established in her honor, serving as a constant reminder of the consequences of irresponsible choices and the need for safer roads. As Laura embarked on her journey to redemption, she knew that forgiveness was essential for healing, not just for herself, but also for the grieving community. And with a heavy heart, she attended Emily's memorial service and addressed the mourners. "I stand here before you broken and remorseful. There are no words to express the depths of my sorrow and the regret for the pain that I have caused. I am responsible for the loss of an innocent life, and I could not fathom the weight of that burden," Laura tearfully said. As time went on, Laura's sincerity and commitment to change began to resonate with the community, and she attended support group meetings, shared her story to help others avoid the same tragic mistakes, and with the support of her fellow activists, Laura started a campaign to raise awareness about the devastating consequences of drunk driving, and she spoke at schools, community events, and even appeared on local news channels. Let Emily's memory be a reminder that our choices ripple far beyond ourselves. We must hold ourselves accountable and make safer decisions, not just for our sake, but for the sake of everyone we share the road with, Laura passionately declared. Laura's advocacy efforts, combined with the persistent work of the community, yielded results. Stricter drunk driving laws were implemented, and initiatives to support alcohol addiction recovery were funded. The ripple effect of Emily's tragic death was far-reaching. The number of drunk driving incidents decreased in the area, and more people sought help from their addiction struggles. As the years passed, Laura continued to rebuild her life. She remained sober, never forgetting the life that she'd taken and the family she'd forever changed. As part of her journey to make amends, Laura reached out to victims' families who had lost loved ones due to drunk driving accidents. She offered them a listening ear and shared her experience to provide solace and understanding. Despite her past, Laura found employment at a local nonprofit organization that supported families affected by drunk driving accidents. She became a beacon of hope, demonstrating that redemption was possible even in the face of such tragedy. Emily's memory lived on through the positive changes that her tragic accident brought about, and her life became a symbol of need for safer roads, responsible choices, and support for those battling addiction. In the wake of immense tragedy, the community found strength, healing, and hope, and Emily's legacy, though born of heartbreak, inspired change, forgiveness, and a commitment to protect one another on the road. Let this heartrending tale remind us of the impact that our decisions can have on other people's lives, and may we cherish our loved ones and stand together as a community, working towards a safer and more compassionate world for everyone.